we're going to go ahead and get started. Notice there are 3 yellow definitions. Okay, for sake of argument, I'm going to go ahead and go over those with you. Okay, so if I give you this list, each piece, the 3 pieces, are called terms. Okay, there are 3 terms here: 6x, 3, and 2x. Those are all terms. Incidentally, there's 2 different types of terms. There is a numeric term. Numeric terms are called constants because no matter what, 3 is always means the same thing, so its value is constant. And the terms that are attached to a letter, I know it gets a little messy, are called variables. Okay, so all 3 pieces are terms. The number, the one that's only a number, is a constant. The one that has a variable attached is a variable. One final thing. Anytime there is a number preceding a variable, like here and here, like this is literally saying there are 6 x's, and this is saying there are 2 x's. Those numbers that precede it are called coefficients. Coefficients. The numbers that precede the variables are coefficients. Okay, incidentally, really quick, x plus 4 plus 3x. The coefficient here is a 3. There's nothing in front of that x, so you might say, well, it has no coefficient. Well, if one does not exist, then the coefficient is a 1. Okay? It's kind of like when I say, grab the calculator. You can assume that there's only one calculator because I said the. Okay? This is an x. It's not 2x, it's not 3x. Okay? It's 1. So if there is no number in front of it, then it's a 1. Today's lesson is going to involve you identifying parts of a variable expression. Okay? So a variable expression like the one we wrote up there. So let's do 2y plus 17 minus 3y plus 9. Okay? The terms of this expression are 2y, 17, negative 3y, and 9. Anything that is common is said to be like. And like terms are terms that are combinable. They're the same type of thing. Like terms are 2y and negative 3y. Those 2 things could be combined. Also 17 and 9. Those could be combined. Okay, that's what this means. These terms are like. These are the variable terms, and they could be combined. And these are the constant terms, which could also be combined. Coefficients, the numbers that precede the variables. I have a 2, and I have a negative 3. Those are the coefficients. Okay? So if I ask for terms, you give me all of the lists, every piece that's there. If I ask you for like terms, you sort them together by ones they can combine with. And the coefficients, those are the numbers that precede the variables. Okay? That is going to be part of your homework for today. Now, this being said here, this is example 1. Example 2 has us simplifying such things. So if I start with this, go right back to that. Remember how I combined, or I listed these two together because they're combinable? Well, since 2y and negative 3y can be combined together, I have a result of negative 1y. Notice I'm not writing the 1 because if there's nothing in front of it, it's assumed. I can also combine, again, going back to the above, 17 with the 9, which, by the way, is 26. And that's positive. I mean, just for sake of argument. So by combining things that are like, I have been able to simplify, and the simplified version of this is negative y plus 26. Negative y plus 26. Example 2, you've got your own book example that you can look at. Please look at checkpoint 2. So in the middle of the page, there's bold black writing, and above it, it says blue, it says checkpoint. Checkpoint 2 says, identify all the body parts, terms, like terms, blah, blah, blah. Then simplify it. Let's do checkpoint number 2 together. Checkpoint number 2. Checkpoint number 2 is negative 7b plus 3 plus b minus 10. What are the terms? Mason, for checkpoint number 2, what are the terms? Yep, keep going. Positive 3, yep. Yeah, it's a b. Positive b and negative 10. He's right. Which terms are like? In other words, combinable. Which terms? Sarah? That's a negative b. Positive b is right. I'm sorry I did that. Positive b. You are right. These two are like because they're variables. What else is combinable, Chris? What else is like one another? We've already identified that these two variables are the same thing. Within this phrase, is there anything else that are the same type of thing? Negative 7b and b are both variables. We've already covered those. This is negative 7b. This is positive b. Right now, it looks like all you're left with is numbers. Are numbers combinable? So tell me which terms those are. 3 and negative 10. Those are combinable because they are both numbers and their value is always constant. The coefficients of the variables that you were given. Remember, these are the variables. What are the coefficients of those variables? Ryan, what numbers precede these variables? Negative 7. And remember, we showed that if there isn't something in front of the letter, it's a 1. What kind of 1 is it? Yep, positive 1. Those are the coefficients. This is checkpoint number 2. Last thing they want you to do is simplify it. So I've already gathered together things that could be combined. What is the result of combining a negative 7b with a positive 1b? -7, +1. Rachel. -6b is right. We have just combined our variables. Let's combine our constants. +3 with -10. When you're combining unlike signs, subtract and keep the sign of the bigger one. Emma. She's right. Therefore, the simplified version of this is -6b -7. From here, it just gets bigger. Not harder, just bigger. Okay? And example 3 has you still doing the same thing, only instead of identifying body parts, we're just gonna do a little work. We're gonna simplify it. Now you guys saw this yesterday, right? That's an example of distributing. But if I say simplify this mess, you're going to have to combine all the like terms, but it's a process. We're going to start by cleaning this up and gathering body parts. In other words, gathering all of our variables and gathering all of our numbers. Well, right now, this here says 5 times 6 and 5 times +b. What is the result of this? Ethan? What kind of b? You didn't multiply your 5. That's a huge, huge thing that a lot of people do, but don't forget it. The 5 is not just being multiplied by the 6. The 5 is being multiplied by everything in parentheses. Okay, so I've just simplified this piece, to which I know I am adding a 4b and a -9. So I have variables and I have constants, okay? Which ones are my variables? And let's combine them. Grace. What's the result? 9b is right. And I have constants laying around. Izza, what are my constants and what's the result? 30 and -9. She's right. What's the result? Go ahead. Well, this is positive. +21. So, the answer for this, after we distributed where necessary, and then collected like terms, you cannot do anything more than this. This does not equal 30b. This doesn't equal 30 times b. It doesn't equal anything more than this. This is 9b, whatever b is, and 21. Okay, that's what that is. The second sample, same kind of thing. All I'm doing right now is giving you another example, same exact process, only perhaps in a different order. We're going to do the exact same thing here. Okay, the thing says to simplify. Right now I've got 4m, I've got a +12, and I've got whatever the product of -3 and these two things is. So, what is -3 times +2m? Go. -6m. All you're doing is multiplying the numbers, and since the variable is also to be multiplied, it has to lay there because we don't have a value for it. So this literally means -6 times m. -3 times a +2 is what, Eli? -3 times a +2. Bravo. Bring down the rest of it and start combining, which is where we were when we got here. Let's identify our variables. What are my two variables, Emma? Bravo. And when you combine them, sweetie, what's the result? -2m. Exactly right. And let's look for numbers. What are my numbers? Leah?
12 and 36.
And what's the result when you combine them? Positive 12 combined with a negative 6. Bravo, because you find the difference and keep the sign of the item with the larger absolute value. Okay? Here's the trickiest one of the century. 15 minus parentheses 10 plus 15x. This is super, super difficult. So if you checked out, check back in. What this means is 15 minus the stuff in here. Okay? Which causes both of the items within to flip their signs. Minus a positive 10, so I'm just going to make it minus 10. Minus a positive 15x makes it a minus 15x. Okay? What you have done is you distributed the negative sign. This is the mistake that you're going to see, and when I mark it wrong, I'm going to say distribute the negative. This is what I'm referring to. If a negative precedes objects in a parentheses, then that negative causes the items within to flip their sign. Now, if this was a negative 10, a negative negative 10 would become a positive. If this was a negative 15, a negative negative would become a positive. Now we can combine. Looks like 5 minus 15x after I've done all my work, right? My numbers and my lonely variable. Last thing. Example 4. Here it is. And I'm not sure we're going to get through all of it. Piano costs $16 an hour.